This is sort of part two on cooling systems. There's a few other things I thought of is evaporative air conditioners. The way they run, you're supposed to you can't recirculate the air. Standard air conditioners will recirculate the air. That means they suck in the same air that is already in the room, cool it and spit it back out again. They don't add any fresh air. The way evaporative air conditioners have to work is they have to draw in air from outside, put in the moisture via evaporation, and then push it out a window or some sort of grate or whatever back into the outside world. And you've got to have this constant sort of straight in, straight out, not recirculation of the same air to make them run properly. Otherwise the humidity goes through the roof. Another version which I have experienced myself firsthand, oh my gosh, they were brilliant, is misters. Now I worked at a very prominent nursery in the commercial vegetable industry, and inside the acres and acres of glass houses they had misters. And what had happened is you'd be sitting there, and I remember these days, I'm not joking, it was around about 47, 48 degrees Celsius. I don't think I've actually come across heat as bad as it was in those days. This was in the height of summer, around sort of the drought time, I think. And you'd just be sitting there doing whatever, and these little misters would fire up. And you'd basically hear a pump going off in the distance, an electric pump, that would pump pressurised water through these lines, and it would spray out of these misters, which basically were just like very fine sprays, almost like a spray painting gun. But yeah, they just come out these little nozzles and bingo. The air, I'm not joking, we went from about 47, 48 degrees down to what felt like about 20 degrees in a matter of like about 30 seconds. You can't believe it until you've been under them, how good they are. Of course, then the humidity would rise dramatically over the next couple of minutes. The vents in the roof, they had the ability to lift up a lot of the glass in the roof of the glass house. It would all rise up and go out of those open pieces of glass out the vents in the roof. And then you'd be hot for another 5 minutes or so, and then it'd fire up again and cool the whole place down again. A variation on this is the misting fan, which I've seen some really nasty ones that don't even mist at all. They just sort of squirt out a big blast of water and wet your floor, basically. But I've also seen very high-end ones that are very well designed, but they're also expensive, and the amount of power they took was only basically, about 100, 150 watts short of a proper vapor compression semi-truck sleeper cab air conditioner anyway. And the other one I've seen that creates mist, and I've seen it only like about 2 months ago in a pet shop, was these things they put in aquariums, and they're ultrasonic. And you stick these little things in the water and only have like a half an inch of water over them or something like that, and they fire up, and there's like this fog which just sort of sits there, and they mist. They create not so much a mist like as in the sprayed mist, but they just create a fog. And I saw a misting fan that used the same technology about a month later. I saw it only a few weeks ago, but it was so weak that it just barely made any fog, and it barely made any difference to the air temperature. But like many things, like Peltier devices, you know, at first people sort of write them off and say, oh, they're too weak to do anything. Like these ultrasonic misters. Now we're writing them off. Give them 5 years, they may really amount to something, just like Peltier devices. 5 years ago, people didn't take them seriously. Now, you know, people have got fridges which basically are keeping their food cool that are Peltier devices. And I think it's sort of the same with fuel cell technology. There has been a way developed by Horizon Fuel Cells to make electricity from alcohol, but that's not that new because that's how breath testers work, that the cops have to check if you've been drinking too much as you're driving. But, you know, they've sort of got another one as well that you put electricity and distilled water into, and it spits out the hydrogen and stores it almost as a solid or a liquid. It's terribly good at storing it, just the way these fuel cells are made. And then it re-releases it as 2 watts of electricity. And while these things now may just be sort of not too serious, sort of a bit toy-ified, or, oh, I can run me, you know, charging my phone off it or something, give them 5 years and they might be worthwhile. You know, and another 5 years' time, Peltiers could be seriously good. You know, there could be an offshoot of Peltier technology which will more or less result in in another generation of air conditioning. Who knows? But yeah, that's just a few extra thoughts. Oh, if you use a misting fan, same thing. You've got to keep that airflow going. And it's better if you actually sleep in like an outside area, like a veranda or a carport, basically an area just with a roof or shade cloth over the top of you, and this misting fan going so it can not build up humidity inside an enclosed space. So they sort of run in the same way as evaporative air conditioners like that. But that's just a few other thoughts I remembered. So yeah.